Can you guys hear me and see me? Hopefully. I hope so. Yep, that's good. Okay. So here is the place we are at. Okay. Now, this is the pre-advanced class, right? 3 p.m. 23rd. Yeah, this is the pre-advanced class. Good. Okay. So sometimes you're in a position and you have no idea how to attack. So here, you guys, since you're decent at chess, you will probably notice that knight here is kind of special. What does knight here do? What is knight here? So if I bring my knight here, what does it do? It gives the king a check, but what else does it do? It gives the king a check, but it also attacks the knight. So it's a fork. Now, of course, I can't bring it here right now. Why can't I bring it here right now? It's a fork, right? I can't bring it in here right now, though. What's the problem? What will he do if I bring it there?
Pawn will take the knight.
Yeah, his pawn will take my knight. Okay. But when we're creating attacks in our heads, sometimes it's a good idea to not give up ideas too easily. So this is a fork. This is a good idea, but there's a problem. The problem is the pawn is here. Okay. What
about pinning the pawn?
Okay, we can pin the pawn. It's not a bad idea, and then try and fork like this. But usually by then he will do something else. So for example, if you use a move, if you use some time to do a move, in that same amount of time, he can do something. So if I pin this pawn to the king, well, the king could maybe move. And now the fork won't work anymore. Okay. There is something else that's good about this fork. It makes him have to take. He has no other choice. If he doesn't take, you can attack here. So if he is just moves out of the way, for example, let's say he moves, he can't move here because you'll kill him. Let's say he moves here, you can just go ahead and take the knight and you just won yourself a free knight. I guess he wouldn't take back, but yeah. So at the very least, what's good about this move is that it forces the pawn to take. Okay, well, let's not give up on it. What happens if the pawn takes? Well, what will we do after that?
In G3.
G3. Yeah, we could try checking the king. So there are two places to check the king. You can go G3, and there's one other place you can check the king.
G5.
Yeah, usually the closer the better, just because he has less moves to go to. So for example, if you go G3, he could technically come here. He wouldn't because of this. Well, I guess you couldn't even do this because of knight. But it's just usually better to go closer to him than further. So yeah, G5, he moves. But we can't take the knight, can we? Because the queen will take us. Okay, back to the drawing boards. Well, let's see. If I fork, it won't work because even if I check after, the queen is protecting. This queen, if only it wasn't there. If the queen wasn't there, then I could fork, he'd take, and then I'd get the knight. But this queen is protecting the knight. It's a tough puzzle. If only that queen wasn't there. Can you think of a way to get rid of that queen?
Bishop A3.
Yeah, so one way to get rid of a queen is just attack it and force it to move. So let's try that. Let's go back to the original puzzle and do bishop A3. Now he has two options here. He can either take or do something other than take. Let's first consider what happens if he takes. Because if he takes, we lose a bishop, so we better be able to make that bishop back. So if he takes here, what's our next move? What did we plan? Why did we even do that? What was the plan? So his queen is out of here, not protecting the knight anymore. So what do we do now? How do we follow through?
Knight h5.
Yeah, knight h5. The fork was the whole idea, right? So now he has two options. He either takes or doesn't take. Let's assume he doesn't take. Let's say he goes back here. What will we do?
Take the knight.
Take the knight. He'll come here, and this is actually checkmate. So great. What if he comes back here? What will we do?
Take the knight.
Yeah, we can take the knight in a lot of ways. You can even take the knight with the queen if you want. But yeah, you could take the knight with here and then just try and push up to a queen. See, he would come left, and then that'd just be check. And now you have two queens. On the other hand, if you checked him with the knight and he came up here, you could still push up. Or for example, you could now do this. And now wherever he goes, you can start checkmating him. If he goes down here, what if he goes here? How will you checkmate here? There's two ways to checkmate here. What will you do? So we want to checkmate the king now because we have a knight and a queen, and we can use them together to do something. So if we move the knight anywhere, the queen will check him. But this isn't checkmate. So we need to move a knight so that we can keep checking him afterwards. So for example, if we move here, it would work because this is a check. He has to move, and then what do we do? Well, and then we can checkmate like that. So obviously he has to take this. Sorry, he has to take this way. I guess he could technically move here, but even that's pretty bad altogether for him. And then he'll try and check you, but don't worry, you can get away. So you'll be good. So what do we do if his pawn takes though? We haven't considered that. So what do we do then? What happens if the pawn takes here? How do we go after that?
Push the pawn.
Yeah, we could push the pawn, but what did we do last time? What was our whole plan? Originally, we had a plan. We said if the pawn takes, what are we gonna do?
Check the king.
Yeah, and where are we gonna check the king?
G5.
Yeah, G5. So G5 check, and if he goes to the right, you take the knight, and then it's actually checkmate pretty soon, almost. So this is check, and then you can't actually checkmate here. Why can't you checkmate here? I mean, it would be a nice checkmate. What's wrong with this square?
The queen.
Yeah, the queen is protecting it. So instead, I'm going to push my pawn, and then I can try and checkmate him. If he will probably try and check you a lot, but you can just keep running away until he runs out of checks. Just eventually he will run out of checks somewhere. And I think he's run out. Nope, not yet. Sure, now you can block. Is there anywhere else that you can check? You can check here. You can block. Is there any other checks? Oh, wait. Oh boy, this is taking a long time. I guess this is just back and forth for now. So then maybe let's just keep our queen here and just run away. Then he'll just keep trying to check you and you run every single time because he can never actually take this queen. If he takes the queen, you'll push this next and mate him. So he'll have to keep checking you until you've successfully run all the way back here. And now I don't think there's any more checks. Can anyone find a check he can do on me? I don't think he has any more checks here. This is taken. This is taken. So I think he's out of checks. And once he's out of checks, you can just promote and win. Or just push up here and checkmate. So that works. On the other hand, if he goes to the left, you do the same thing. Here, check, and then just push. Last thing, what if he goes to the left here? What do I do now? This position is actually a checkmate in 2 moves. Can you guys find it? Checkmate in 2 moves. Yeah, queen moves. Sorry, where did you say?
F7.
Yeah, f7. And then where's the checkmate?
Queen D7.
Yeah, queen d7. Well done. So it seems like our plans worked if he takes the bishop, because then we just fork here, and no matter what he does, either if he runs away or if he takes, we can do stuff about it. Now, what have we not considered? Does he have to take this? Does he?
No.
No, he has some options. One option someone suggested from the previous class was, let's do this. But this just loses you a knight. So at the very least, in this strategy, you ended up winning a free knight. Okay. What if he just runs away with the queen, either to this square, or this square? Well, if he comes to this square, you can just kill him. Okay. So the queen has 2 options, this square or this square. We can consider them both. First, let's consider if he comes to this square. Well, did I do something wrong? I think you can just take this now. Should be fine. Okay, so let's see if our original plan works here. So check. If he moves anywhere, like he moves up here, then you can take the knight in some way or another. Or if he comes here, you can also take the knight. The only other idea is what if he takes this way? And now we have to be careful, but I think it should still work. So check. And he has 2 options now. He can either protect with the queen, or he can run away. If he protects with the queen,
Bishop F8.
sure. Actually, that's not a bad move. The problem is the queen's protected. F8 would have been nice though. So what do we do? Okay, this one's easy. If he comes here, then you have 2 options. You can either push the pawn or bring here. But pushing the pawn doesn't work because he comes back here and he protects this square. So now if you bring the knight in, the queen brings here and protects. So that doesn't work. But if he comes here originally, instead of pushing the pawn, you can just bring your knight in. And now it should work. Because now you check, and there's 2 places he can go. Actually, sorry, there's 1 place he can go because this place is blocked by the bishop. And now you guys should know what to do from here. So what do you do from here? How do you win the game from here? You can't take the knight because it's protected. So what move should you make from here? You have a bishop, a pawn, and a queen to move. So one of these 3 has to be the golden move. What should you do from here?
E7.
Yeah, e7, and now he can't protect this. So whatever he does next, you can just go ahead and take. Good job. So the only thing we actually need to worry about is if the queen just goes back. If the queen just goes back. I just want to see what the computer thinks about this. Oh, okay. Didn't even consider this move. Check. Wonder how that works. This can't work because we'll just take it. So how else will he stop the check? He can't use the queen. He can either move the king here, here, or here. So what do you guys think we should do if he moves the king? let's say here. What should we do now? Okay, I think I have an idea. So where should we move our pieces? We can't move the pawn up because that would block our queen. But we can move the queen to a nice square here. So a good move here would probably be this move right here. Queen f7, which attacks this and this at the same time. So he can trade queens here, but now you're threatening pawn push. And well, the only way he has to stop is with this, but you can push it anyways. And now you win a knight. Does that make sense? Because if he doesn't queen trade here, like this, you could just take the knight and then win the game. So what if he goes, I don't know, here? Well, you can do the same thing. You can just come here, threatening two things at once, and then once he does that, there's no way to stop the pawn push. So the only other thing we have to worry about is if the king goes there. Anyone have any ideas on what to do in this case? Okay. So there's a couple of ideas. The first idea is to use the knight somehow. It won't work because no matter where the knight goes, the pawn is taken out. Okay, so let's not use our knight. So if there's anything good to do, it has to be with one of these three, right? The queen can't come here, knight will take. He can't come here, queen will take. And then knight comes here. So for example, if you come here, queen takes, bishop takes, attacking here, and the knight can go back here and the pawn can't push anymore. So queen can take pawn if you want. Doesn't really seem like attacking move. This doesn't do anything. Will this piece here move to f7? Will that work? What do you guys think?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either, because he'll just take, and now you just lost a pawn. So what about queen here? He'll just take. So the queen doesn't seem to be the right move. The only other idea is if you bring the queen back here, but I feel like that's the same thing as this. You see, we brought the queen here intentionally, and now we're bringing it back. That doesn't do anything. We could try queen here. I wonder if that might be that right idea. Let's try it. What does queen here do? Well, it attacks the pawn, sorry, the knight. The knight will move somewhere. The only place the knight can move is here. But I feel like he would probably just do this. And now I have no more attack. So here doesn't work either. So then the queen can't do anything. The bishop doesn't seem any place to go. So the only piece left to move is the pawn. So let's just move it here and see what happens. Now, let's say he does something. What will he do in this situation? It wasn't the pawn. It was the bishop. It was here. This puzzle's so hard. I guess you have to attack the knight somehow. And then if the knight moves somewhere, you just take it like this. Sorry, let me just check the computer line on this. And then you go here, and this threatens checkmate here. Okay, that makes sense. You guys don't need to know any of this. I just went on a tangent. But the best move here, which you guys figured out, was to bring the bishop here to avert the queen. And then all other ways work. Now let's go to another example. This example is similar to the last one, where you notice that the knight has a lot of places to go to. Before you actually do anything, it's a good idea to just notice all the pins and forks and everything you have. So this is a pin. This knight is pinned to that. And this pawn is a pin. So interestingly enough, technically both of these are protecting this square, but since both of them are pinned, they can't protect that square. So that square is actually free to go to with the knight. Same with this square because the pawn can't protect it. So these are the two pins you have. Can anyone see a nice move here?
Knight h5.
Yeah, knight h5, which is just a fork. A fork, and they can't take it with a pin. So he'll move, and then you can just take that. Good job. You should probably take it with the queen, but you can take it with the knight too. Okay, now let's look at this situation. Let's say you were black, okay? Let's first notice all the pins we have. Okay, this is a pin. That means that a certain square here is a certain square is not protected. It seems protected, but is not. What square on the board seems protected, but is not because of pins?
g3.
G3 is not protected because the pawn is pinned. So we can actually go ahead and bring our queen to G3. So let's say he comes here. We can actually put a piece here, queen G3. And now there's more pins. What other pins are there now? So you have this, but what other pins are there now? Now that the queen's here.
Pinning the queen is pinning the g2 pawn to the king.
Yeah, so what square seems to be protected, but is actually not? There's two of them. Actually, I guess there's only one. Never mind.
h3.
Yeah, h3. I thought this one was two, but this knight's actually protecting it. So, what am I doing? So, if this is unprotected, what will we do now? We have to exploit the pin somehow.
Bishop takes h3.
Yeah, now you're actually threatening checkmate. So in this case, he moves here. And that's just so that I don't checkmate him right away. And I can actually take this, he can take, and now I take the pawn. And then I'll bring my knight in and try and checkmate him on this square. And there's not really anything he can do to stop that. But what if he pushes the pawn up so that my knight can't go there? What about then? Can he even do that? Can he push his pawn up so my knight can't come here?
No.
No, it's pinned. So there's really not much ways to stop this. The only thing else we have to consider is the knight comes back here to stop this checkmate on this square. So the knight is stopping this checkmate. What should we do? It's a really bad knight. I wish it was just horrible knight. If only that knight wasn't there.
Takes e1.
Yeah, we can just take the knight for free, and he can't take back because if he does, it's checkmate. And there's actually no way to stop this checkmate now, I think. Oh, I guess there's this way. And we just take it again. And now there's no way. Nope, I guess there's this way. But then you take it again. And now there's no way. Yes, there's no way now. So great job. So when you see a pin, usually people miss out on the squares that the pin stops. So it's usually good to just mark them down. And after every move, you have to remark your pins because new moves create new pins. Okay, last one. Which piece is pinned here?
Pawn on g2 and the pawn on f7.
Wait, what? F7, yes. G2, yes, by him. Yeah. Technically, we're also pinning this pawn to the bishop. But for now, let's just use this pawn. So we are actually doing this pin, and he is doing this pin on us. So yeah, I don't know why I drew this. Okay, so that means we can exploit this. Now, this is not one of those cases where, oh, well, technically he's not protecting this square, so let's move there. No, there's no way to move there. But you can exploit pins in other ways. For example, since that pawn is there, it's stuck there, and that means that the king can never escape to that square. So as long as the bishop is here, whatever piece is in this square is stuck on that square. So we want to try and get a back rank mate on this king. Eventually, we want to bring the rook down and checkmate him. But this rook is here. So can you think of a way to move this rook and still have a back rank here?
Queen takes f7.
Yeah, if you take the f7 queen here, sorry, if you take the pawn on f7 with the queen, then if the rook takes back, due to this pin, it's still a back rank. And now you can just checkmate. If he doesn't take back, what do you do? Because he always has options, right?
Takes the rook.
Yeah, the rook is just there. You could just take it and it's mate. People in the other class said, oh, but can't we do this in a different order? So for example, let's do this first, for example. That wouldn't work because it's no longer a pin. He still can't take the bishop because, for example, let's say he takes it. You just check here and then mate. But he has another option of moving now, and there's no way to checkmate him then. On the other hand, if you go to here on e8, technically he can't take because check, move, mate. But there is still ways for him to get out of checkmate here. Can anyone think of a way to get out of checkmate here? There's two different ways. I guess there's three. So the main problem is that this is a back rank. So is there a way to stop it from being a back rank? That's one idea. Can you make it not a back rank anymore? How do you make a back rank not a back rank? How do you stop back rank from being a back rank?
h6.
Yeah, h6. You can just stop it from being a back rank by creating a way for the king to escape. So now if I take, he can run away. If he takes back, so if I do this and he does this, if I take, he can't take back because this is checkmate. But thanks to your idea, he can run away instead. So that's one way. Technically, this doesn't work. Why doesn't this work? It's not a back rank, right? Well, that's because this rook is pinned and you have two attackers on this square. So this rook is pinned now. And so you only have one defender. So you can actually go ahead and take it here with the queen. And then this is checkmate. So yeah, this pawn doesn't work, but this one does. Another way to stop this from being mate, the best way to stop this from being mate is actually, look, you have two attackers on the square. And since this is pinned, he only has one defender there. So just give it a defender. Can you give this square a defender? Can you find a way to give that square a defender?
Queen g6.
Yeah, queen g6, queen f6, one of those ways would work. And now there's no mate because now there's no mate. It's just, you can't do anything about it. So that's why it doesn't work. You have to do this first. He takes back and then you can just checkmate. Okay. Now, this is the second thing I want to talk about today in this class. And this is a technique called the legal. Not legal, it's legal, like there's two L's. So this is usually how it works. So e4, e5, and usually you manage to get out these three pieces by the time he only gets out a bishop. Technically, there is a different way where he gets out a knight too. I'll talk about that in a second. So if he only has a bishop out and it's your turn, the legal trap is, look, he only has a bishop out and this is here. I can actually start attacking him like crazy with these three. Yeah. So you can go ahead and knight e5 this. And usually people will be so attracted by the idea of a free queen, they'll just take it right away. But then what do you do then?
Bishop f7.
Yeah, bishop f7, king comes up, and then the knight can checkmate. Now, some people are smart enough to notice that the free queen will get them checkmated, so they'll just take the knight. What do you do then?
Take the bishop.
Yeah, take the bishop. And so now you see you got at least one pawn from this trap. Okay, there is some smart people who do this move. And see, now they've gotten two of their minor pieces out instead of just one. And so legal doesn't work as well here. Of course, if he takes your queen, it still works the same as always. But once the knight is out, he doesn't need to take your queen anymore. He can actually do some other move. What can he do?
Take the knight.
Yeah, he can take the knight with the knight. And now you can't take the bishop like you could before because the knight will take. And he's also attacking this bishop here. So you might move the bishop back, for example. So you just lost the knight for a pawn in this case. So usually the variation people do is before they sacrifice their knight here, they do a little sneaky move. They do this move called h3. And usually black will retreat the bishop. But if they don't, and they go h5, well, now you notice that if you put here, and then they take with knight, since the bishop is on h5, the knight is no longer protecting this square, is no longer protecting the bishop because the bishop isn't on this square. So you can do the same idea as before. You can take, he takes with knight, you take bishop, he takes your bishop, and now he's actually up a piece. So can you think of a move in this situation to win a piece back? Can you think of any move in this situation that'll win you a piece back? Yeah, queen b5, good job. Queen b5 is actually a really nice fork. And so he makes a move and then you just take the piece. So good job. And this is what the legal is in a nutshell. You usually want an unprotected bishop, and then you can go for the legal and win. But if he manages to find a way to protect the bishop, then you should only go for the legal if you can find a way to get the bishop to now be unprotected. Now, there are obviously variations of the legal. So let me show you one variation. Okay, this is it. So here you can take this knight and he will obviously take your queen, but in exchange for the queen, you have a lot of ammo attacking the king because your knight will be here. So you'll have a lot of ammo attacking the king. So we can try this version of legal. Usually before you go into it, you should calculate it. But if you have this attacker, and this attacker, you'll have three attackers going after a king with only really one defender. So the difference will be 2, and you can win back a queen here. So let me try it. He takes. If he doesn't take, like he takes back, then you can just push a pawn up and there's nothing to lose. But if he does take, how should we proceed with this attack? We just lost a queen and we have to make a really good attack if we're going to make anything worth it. So what should we do now? We have to do some crazy ideas here. make it work. So what-
Bishop B5.
Bishop e5, great job. So pawn pushes, and here you can take, and if he takes back, what do you do? Because he just took back. You have to keep attacking. There's no, you can't retreat or anything. Both of these guys are under attack. So, and this guy's also hanging. So the question is, which one do you take with? Which one do you take with? Take with the most aggressive option that you can think of. Take with an option where you can just keep attacking as hard as you can. Anyone recommend anything? Bishop or knight? 50-50 chance of being right, right? So the actually correct answer is the bishop. I'll show you why. So if you bring the knight here, you're threatening this discovered check and an attack on the queen, but he can just move the queen and allow for the discovered check to occur. So for example, if he just moves the queen here, where are you going to move your knight? You can do a discover check, but it might not lead anywhere, right? Or you, yeah. So it won't really lead to anything. But let's take with the bishop. You're doing this fork, but more importantly, he doesn't have anything to do here. He has no space. If he blocks with the queen, you can just take it for free. What if he blocks with the knight? What do you do then? Because you're about to checkmate him. Block.
Bishop takes D7.
Good job. And now he takes, and you can take, and he can take, and you can take. And voila, you have two minor pieces. He has one. So you're actually winning. Okay, so we just realized that if he takes your pawn here, he's dead meat. So he actually decides to take your knight. And now you have this discovered check. And so you have to make
C7.
oh, okay, yeah, you have to make a decision of taking here or pushing up. And you're right, the correct move is to push up. So if you push up, you're attacking the queen and you're attacking the king, which means the only way to protect the king must be with the queen. So he can't block it with the knight because then you'll just take the queen. If he blocks it with the queen, then you'll also take the queen. So no matter what you do, he will lose a queen in this position. Why do you think B7 doesn't work? Is there any way for him to protect the queen here? Well, what must he block with if he's not going to lose?
Knight B7.
He can block with knight. And even if you take, what should he do now? Because if he takes with queen, you'll just get a queen and a rook. So what should you do now?
Take with the king.
Yeah, you can take with the king, and now he doesn't actually win with anything. And then you take this, and actually, 10 minutes. And yeah, now, according to the computer, you're losing almost by a minor piece. So it was almost like your original sacrifice wasn't worth it at all. But yeah, it's just a really hard game when they have a queen and you don't. But as you can see, if you just play smart, you end up actually winning by a little bit, or at least being equal. So it's a worthy sacrifice. Moving forward, here's a very similar idea. So, okay, and this is similar. It's like the legal again. So you can take, he takes, and then you just launch an attack. Check, take, and then he comes here, attacking this way. So we have to do something about it. Usually the way you defend these is with the knight here, because it's the only way to both protect the check and protect the bishop. He'll continue because you have this discovered attack. So he has to do something about it. If he takes here, you can just take the rook. So instead, he decided to do this, right? Now we want to keep attacking. So we bring our knight back here. Now the queen doesn't have many places to go to. Here, 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 here. All of these are bad places. Even if he goes here, you just attack him a bit, and then he slowly runs out of places to move to. So if he comes here, for example, you attack him, and then you can just take. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4 minor pieces. He only has 2. He has a queen, you don't, but you have an attack on the king's side. So you're actually not losing in this position. Yeah, you're actually winning by 2. So he will take, you will take, and this is a good position for you according to the computer. Now, another question is, what if he runs away with the queen somewhere else? Can't come here, so the only other place is here. We can attack. And now I don't actually think there's anywhere for his queen to escape to. Yeah. So what move would you make if the queen came here? Because that's the only other square to escape to. How would you use this? If he has a queen, you have a knight attacking here. What do you do? So there's a pretty good move in this situation.
7?
Sorry?
C7?
Yeah, c7 is a fork. And so he will most likely move his queen, and then you can take the rook, and then take the bishop. Now let's count up pieces once again. You have 4 minor pieces, he has 2. So you have 2 minor pieces and a rook for exchange of a queen. Is that worth it? 6, 5, 11, that's 9. Yeah, you're up 2 points. So you're actually up exactly 2 points. Okay, almost 2 points. Yeah, which is nice. And it seems like even if he comes here, there's not much else for him to do. Move. Oh, wow. Okay, he keeps going. Take. I want to emphasize one last thing before we end class. Technically here, you only have 2 minor pieces for exchange of the queen. So technically, points-wise, you're down. But the fact that you can still castle, and all these pieces are not doing anything, they're super underdeveloped, and all your strong pieces are developed and attacking the king at the same time, all of it adds up to you being better. So you see, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, but they're all on the wrong side. They need to be over here defending the king from this attack. Because you have 4 pieces attacking him and he has none defending. So that's why you're winning. And if you want, I can even show you a couple of future moves. This attacks this. He blocks. You come here, and now you brought in the rook into the game. So he's trying to defend, but he won't have enough time. Do you think he can take this? Is this free to take?
No.
No, because then you take back, and now it's almost mate. You can take here, and it's just super close to mate. So yeah, in this position, he actually recommends you take here so that he can take back. But you're still winning because now, once again, these two cancel each other out, these two cancel each other out, these two cancel each other out. You have the same number of pieces, but he is just not developed, but you are. And his king is just really bad position. Okay, that is all. So if anyone has any questions,